Hello and welcome to the Free Bin, Toledo Public Library's podcast. It is June and we are continuing from the podcast that we had last week, the second part. So this is part 2 and we do have a guest, but I'm going to hold off on that while I give you some updates that are coming up. So, new news. If I can remember. Summer reading program is open for sign up. So if you want to come in and sign up, please do that. You'll pick up your little diary log for minutes, and then you can get your prizes, and you can continue after you read your 500 minutes. You can continue with more minutes to get raffle tickets, and there's some pretty cool stuff for raffle prizes. Mm-hmm. We have an Oregon Coast Aquarium, right? I got the right thing.
Yes.
Oregon Coast Aquarium. Family pass that you can get. We have a Oregon Glass Blowers. I think that's who that is. Glass Blowers gift certificate for one glass blowing lesson, which is really cool. We have a coffee gift card from the Thirsty Fisherman. And what's the last one?
What's the last one?
I know this one.
We're really winging it.
We are.
Was that an Amazon gift card?
No.
We've got Thirsty Fisherman, Oregon Coast Aquarium, Glassworks,
and Camera. Yay! See, we needed our guest here today.
And I don't think any of us have introduced ourselves yet this episode.
No,
have we?
I'm Cindy.
I'm Harrison. And we have with us today our volunteer, Olga.
Say hello. Say hello, Olga.
Hello. Yay, I'm glad to be here.
Olga is our, as I said, she's one of our volunteers. She is going to be the lead of our Story Trackers program, our Story Den, Story Club.
Right, that's what's coming up on the 27th of June is the first meeting at 1 o'clock?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. Mm-hmm. Bring yourself.
Yeah. Bring yourself.
Bring yourself. That's all you need for this first meeting, right?
That's right. Bring yourself and we'll have snacks.
Oh, and snacks.
Yes.
Well, like any good dead mother, Olga will bring snacks. No.
And Olga, we're excited to have on the show today. She brings both academic and personal experience with some of the stuff we're talking about on today's episode. And she has also brought our beverage. Do you want to do your own introduction, or let us discover
who you are?
Who you are? Who are you? Olga and I know each other from back when I used to play with sea monsters. So we've known each other for a while.
I'm Olga Custer, and I was born in the country that does not exist. And so far, that's what you want to know about me. And I'm sure that more will come out later. And yeah, I brought the beverage. That's the most important part.
I brought cups.
Oh, I brought myself.
Okay.
That's what you need to bring for the Story Trackers program.
Bring yourself.
Do what Cindy did.
Yeah.
Let's open that and make sure that it sounds as obnoxious as it can on the camera.
All right, let's see. Using a tool here.
That's because she has really nice nails.
Yeah.
Not my nails.
You don't want to get rid of those.
And what are we drinking today, Olga?
We are drinking kombucha because that is the only soft beverage that is available in my fridge.
Okay.
Because if you haven't figured that out, I'm weird.
There we go.
It's the only thing available.
Oh, yeah, that smells like kombucha.
Which means that it smells like fermented tea.
Yeah, smells like fermentation. How you doing, Cindy?
I'm doing fine. Did
Not
you say
based on her
fermented
face.
tea?
A mixture of black and green tea.
Okay, because I did not hear tea. I heard something else.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes, but my hearing is bad.
Just some nutrition facts. 35 calories.
Oh.
And 8 grams of sugar.
Oh, that's not bad.
Not your typical soda.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
And actually, after fermentation takes after the fermentation goes away a little bit, after you swish it in the cup, it actually smells like strawberry.
Yeah, I smelled the
Yeah, it's coming
strawberries.
up.
I didn't smell so much.
Yeah, the fermentation has a little, it contributes
Okay.
a lot to the,
I'm going to try and not spit it on the mic.
ready?
Take your time.
It's not bad.
It's a yes for me. This is nice.
It's sour. Mm-hmm. Is it supposed to be?
I would say tart.
Oh, okay.
I would say tart. Tart is more a food positive thing to say than sour.
Yeah, and we do want to be food positive.
Food positive. This
It does taste like strawberry, doesn't it?
it does. Some kombuchas I've had seem to be trying to hide the kombucha taste. Others, that's kind of all you get. I've had ones where it just tastes like straight fermentation. This, I feel like they really know how to use it. Like the strawberry, that fermented taste, which is a bit of an acquired taste, but it goes together. It's not like they're trying to hide one taste or
It's
something.
not bad. It's not something I would probably choose because it does taste vinegary to me. But it's not bad. It reminds me of apple cider vinegar, only not quite like if you put sugar in it.
Yeah.
It would remind me of that.
But only a little bit of sugar because
Right,
there
not
is 8 grams in a can.
No, that's not much.
So I am not feeding you sugar by the spoonful.
Right. It's not like the last one we had, I think, had like 35 grams of sugar in it or something.
Oh, it had, I think
More than
69.
that. 69,
I think it was
that's right, because
69.
it was the,
Harrison, would you like a little more?
I'll take a little. You want some more, Cindy?
oh no, I'm fine.
Thank you.
Not Cindy, not based on the face that she had.
Thank you.
Yeah. It is an acquired taste, but if you grew up drinking kombucha and you had that taste, it's okay. It's not horrible.
It's a surprise.
I like it.
It makes it, I mean, the name is appropriate because it makes you go, do I like this?
Got to stick with it for a little bit.
Yeah, you do.
Got to accept it, run with it.
And move on. Okay.
Okay.
I would like you, Harrison, to just give us a little synopsis of what can you like condense it?
Yes.
What we talked about last week. So remind people.
I can.
And
Let me. I
I'm gonna
realize.
back out of this now.
I realize. I forgot my notes. I'm gonna run and grab
Aren't
those
they
from
right
my
there?
office. Is that them?
I don't know.
Yeah, I totally remembered and
You
prepared.
remembered your notes.
I forgot that I remembered. Okay. So, last episode, we discussed the concept of liminality in both the social sciences and in popular culture. In general, the term refers to the physical, temporal, and social space associated with transitional rituals, like a birthday, a graduation, a bar mitzvah, that sort of a thing.
A wedding.
A wedding, yes. Very much a wedding. A lot of liminality happening in a wedding. A lot of in between. So, on the internet, in popular culture, it often refers to spaces that are physical spaces that are kind of in between or outside, spaces that are passed through. This relates to kind of the traditional idea that spaces like a crossroads or a hotel room or an airport are liminal, literal physical spaces because they're places that are in transition, indefinite, places that are passed through.
Right.
That has really taken hold. So the thing that's happening right now that made me want to do this episode right now is the feature film The Backrooms is in theaters. And it's directed by a very young filmmaker named Kane Parsons, who started doing a Backrooms YouTube series as a teenager. And while it's, we talked a little bit about this last episode, but the idea of this sort of empty place that's sort of undefined in terms of purpose, that is something that's related to kind of this popular definition of a liminal space. So today we're going to be getting into another concept that I feel like is maybe even a little more apt for this kind of aesthetic or this kind of view of physical spaces. And that concept is hauntology. Are you familiar with hauntology?
Well, of course I am, but our listeners may not be.
Yes. So hauntology plays off the word ontology. Hauntology is a term coined by French philosopher Jacques Derrida in 1993. It refers to the idea that the present is haunted by elements of the social or cultural past. This idea has been explored especially in music. Hauntological music is a whole thing we'll talk about. And also it does apply to other areas. So one area where I think this gets both weird and well known is in the idea of lost futures, historical visions of the future that never came to be. So
where's my flying car?
Yeah, where's our flying car? I think we have them and they're called helicopters.
Airplanes.
That's not the same.
It's not the same.
No, the Jetsons,
Because it should be something that goes wah, 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 wah. If it makes a louder or different noise, it doesn't count as a flying car, I think.
Yeah.
And if you have to be in it with a bunch of people, that also doesn't count.
Right. Mass transit doesn't count. Maglev trains
Right.
don't count as flying cars.
No.
It's got to be my car.
Right. And it's got to be available to every person.
Mm-hmm. Individually.
Yes.
So one example of this is steampunk. The idea of the future as imagined by Victorian writers, which that's how they imagined maybe our present day would look, right?
Right.
And
one of those would be Jules Verne.
Right. So that's kind of, a fun example. And all science fiction set in a future with a definite date is destined to eventually run into this discrepancy, right? Where the imagined future becomes a present that, was imagined and did not come to pass.
2001, A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
1984.
1984. So the Fallout video game series is an interesting one because it's set in a future, from our perspective, the future, fairly distant, following a nuclear apocalypse, but the setting is heavy with aesthetics and cultural references from the mid-20th century, which was, of course, the height of the Cold War when fears of mutually assured nuclear destruction were at their peak. Mm-hmm. So even though it's set in the future, in our imagined distant future, it's a future that is haunted by our real world, cultural and personal memories of growing up, fearing that this thing could happen. Right. So, and feel free to interrupt. I kind of got this little script to get us rolling.
Oh,
but
don't worry.
yank the reins from me here. So this is all just sort of to set us up. So Derrida, when he came up with the term hauntology, he had Karl Marx in mind when he coined the term. So here's the opening line of the Communist Manifesto. A specter is haunting Europe, the specter of communism. All the powers of old Europe have entered into a holy alliance to exorcise this specter. Pope and Tsar, Metternich and Guizot, am I pronouncing that right? Probably not. French radicals and German police spies. So for context, Karl Marx, he is the communism guy, but recall that he lived and died before Lenin, Mao, etc. would put their own versions of his ideas into practice. So when he was writing things, a lot of this was still situated inherently in the future. It was hypothetical, theoretical stuff.
By the way, the Communist Manifesto was written with Friedrich Engels.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also very important to note that Marx was writing not in the present that we know. He was writing in the present with no 40-hour work week, no weekends, definitely no OSHA.
Yeah.
Those were the things unheard of. The things that we take for granted today would be very much a huge win during the time in which Marx was writing.
Right.
These specific words.
Yeah. With that said, I do feel like we see a lot of what you might call hauntological cultural artifacts that have kind of a unique character in former Soviet countries. And I think that has to do with the fact that the Marxist-Leninist line was always sort of that the party is holding power now to get everyone ready for communism, which will be in the future and will be awesome. But the party's just holding power temporarily. I'm going to hand the reins over here, so jump in if I'm getting anything way off. In 1961, Nikita Khrushchev said, quote, "We are strictly guided by scientific calculations, and calculations show that in 20 years, we will build mainly a communist society." 3 decades later, the Soviet Union collapsed, and a future that never seemed to be getting closer officially became one that never arrived. And so with that, since I was over here and I was like 6 when this happened, I'm going to yield the floor to Olga to talk about what that societal transition was like firsthand.
Thank you for that. And as I said, I was born in the country that does not exist anymore. And what Harrison had just said and introduced us to gives context. So the country I was born that does not exist is the Soviet Union, and I know that a lot of people in the United States have a habit of calling it Russia or Big Russia. However, in addition to what calls itself Russia today, the Soviet Union held a lot more other republics and territories which are their own separate countries today. And I was born with what today is Ukraine. And I was not 6 when the collapse of the Soviet Union happened, but I was 15 and I was still in high school. In fact, I was perhaps in the liminal space of being in the last year of my school, getting ready to go to the university, having the high school year version of senioritis, I guess. And as we came in to receive our textbooks for our last high school year, we were told that one of the subjects that we were supposed to study was the modern history of the Soviet Union, and this subject did not exist because the country did not exist. And we, a bunch of teenagers, were literally told, "We don't know what to teach you anymore." And our history teacher made his own call about what to teach us, and he fell back on a very backward way of teaching the history of the USSR, the Second World War. He literally quoted Stalin in our lessons during the whole time when the era of Stalin was discussed, and all of the crimes and all of the crimes and all of the political trials and purges that happened during that era were uncovered and put to the surface.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine how confused we were?
Yeah.
As teens.
Mm-hmm.
So when you got out of high school, did you go to university then?
I did.
And did they teach you differently there?
Absolutely. It was literally bringing it back to the liminal space It was literally stepping from one country that did not exist and maybe having its last dying gasps in the way our history teacher taught the history. And then I stepped into the university, and history of Ukraine was the subject that they started teaching us. And I was fascinated because it felt like I was studying a quilt. And some patches on the quilt were very familiar bits and pieces of history, and then other patches of the quilt were something that was entirely unfamiliar to me. The parts of the parts of history of Ukraine that never were covered when we, as kids, studied the history of the Soviet Union. It was fascinating.
Yeah. So you started your schooling, and forgive me because I'm really ignorant of all of this. So you started your school in the Soviet Union,
Yes.
one big country.
Yes.
And then you ended it in the midst of what happened in Ukraine to make Ukraine, I mean, what's that history like? So
What happened to make Ukraine independent?
yes.
There was a referendum in, I believe, in the end of 1990. There was a referendum, and people of Ukraine were invited to vote whether they want to remain in the part of the Soviet Union or want to become an independent country. And it was an overwhelming 90+% vote that people wanted to be independent, and the official dissolution of the Soviet Union was done on the level of the heads of the state, and as a 15-year-old, I could care less about all of the details and all of the things that the old guys did in their fancy meetings.
Right.
I had a bigger fish to fry. I haven't had a boyfriend yet.
That's right. When you're 15, that's bigger.
Exactly.
That's interesting. I can't imagine that. How confusing, and suddenly you're hearing one thing, and then a year later when you're in university, you're hearing something totally different in a totally different country.
In a totally different country.
Yeah.
But for me, there was obviously a lot of continuity.
Right.
Except I did have a boyfriend.
Well, good.
Exactly.
And
I'm trying. I'm not saying it just to be funny. I'm saying it to emphasize that even amidst the most upheaval type of political events, people still live their lives, and people still care what they care about. And teenagers are going to care about what they're communicating personally. Kids are going to care about what their parents are doing and what kind of family they are creating. And adults are going to care whatever adults care. I don't know, because I don't know if I had fully grown up.
It's easy to, even when we're talking about such recent history, like it's easy to, especially if we're talking about big sociocultural things, lose sight of the fact that we're all of these things are made up of each of us just getting through our day, like as individual people, and they add up to these things and these, and we all deal with the world we live in.
Right. It's like the big puzzle pieces of the world, nations changing and politics and all of that are made up of a lot of little tiny puzzle pieces in the world of individual people living their lives in a certain way.
One thing
and how
that
important
was
that is.
One thing that was really important about those classes in history of Ukraine was that they were at 8 a.m. on Saturday morning, and because of that, a lot of people would just not go there. And I guess one thing that tells a little bit about who I am and who I was back then was that you best believe that I was there because I was fascinated.
Yeah. So it must. So Ukraine didn't exist one day, and then it did. So, right? I mean, so how did the history classes go? Did it just talk about the history of the region, or the people groups that live there? Or was it like, well, yesterday this happened?
It's a little bit more complex.
It's a long
I'm sure
story.
it is.
They started with the history. They started with the history and the ancient peoples of the region, which is something that I did not know anything about.
Right.
But at that point, nothing existed as we know it.
Mm-hmm.
There was no nation state, any specific nation state that existed. There was. There weren't a whole lot of that. There was ancient peoples, ancient cultures, and as we continued the history and we continued toward the beginning of the 19th century when the nation states started to coming out of the empires. That's when we get the history of Ukrainian statehood.
Oh, okay.
So when Ukraine started to exist officially as a country, it was drawing on the history of the beginning of the 19th century.
Okay.
Not the end of the 20th century.
Right.
So there was some rich history of Ukrainian statehood to be drawn on.
So Ukraine, and again, I'm ignorant. So Ukraine was a nation state at one time.
Yes.
And then taken over by the Soviet Union and kind of brought into the Soviet Union.
In parts.
Okay.
In parts. The one part of Ukraine was taken earlier than another. So complex, rich, tragic history.
Yeah, absolutely. And still ongoing.
Very much so.
Yeah. That's fascinating. So much so it's really hard to wrap my head around. I mean, I grew up in the United States and learned about U.S. history like every other child,
And we learn history from history is written by the victors at any given time. And even, me growing up at the tail end of the Cold War, it's like I knew who Lenin was, kind of.
Right,
I knew who Stalin was, but I never knew who Nestor Makhno was. Like, you still, even when you're at odds with another geopolitical power, you still are getting the narrative by the folks in power. And, you come along to things later or on your own terms when you can. So, context upon context.
Well, and it certainly is worth, you can't learn everything in school. And so just my 2 cents, people keep read nonfiction, read biographies, read everything you can get your hands on about those kinds of things because you discover stuff all the time. Like I did with the Bosnian and Serbia war a couple of weeks ago, just that rabbit hole that I went down and how ignorant I am of global history. Due to being human and all those little puzzle pieces we all juggle every day.
Yeah, I remember my first knowledge of geopolitics was probably actually around 91 during the first Gulf War. And, I was a little guy and I just noticed that all the plastic toy tanks in the toy stores stopped being green and started being beige. Oh. And I was like, why are the toy tanks beige? I think I liked the green ones, and that was
sad beige tanks.
Very practical, but in
a certain region.
But we learn things when we need the knowledge when we come upon it. Yeah. And so if we're ready to flip it.
Okay. I'm terrified.
I was going to talk about maybe it's not split east and west cleanly, but I'm kind of moving back on moving westward a little bit to cyberpunk fiction during the same period, right? 1980s, early 90s. We had a lot of fiction, a lot of it satirical in nature. focused on like the future of technology and society. Right. And, you know, corporate control of technology and like the freedom and control. The Terminator, RoboCop very much.
RoboCop, yeah, for sure.
And, you know, things like Snow Crash that came out and came up with the concept of the metaverse as an allegorical warning of, you know, something bad that could happen that then many years later is recreated and named after a project to kind of create this thing in real life that originally was intended as sort of a cautionary allegory. So you see examples of both futures that are promised and don't come to pass, and also warnings and and hopes that maybe come true in ways that don't feel the same as they did on the page.
Right.
Because I feel like we are also living in a world that in many ways was predicted by cyberpunk fiction in terms of the tools we have at our disposal. But it also sometimes feels like people have, you know, brought about some things or were directly inspired by some things that those works of fiction were warning us not to do, you know, in some interesting ways. So,
a lot of the current discussions about AI and how it is similar to and different from humans remind me of Stanislav Lem, the case studies of pilot Pirks, and in one of them, Pilot Pirks is leading a team of pilots who 3 of them are humans and 3 of them are AI, and he does not know which is which. And the point of the contest is to determine which ones are better. And if you want to know which ones are better, you got to read the book.
Cool. So, yeah, the past haunts the present. Lost futures come to haunt the present. It all ties together, and music is a place where a lot of this happens.
Oh, yes.
So coming from so starting back, I'll try to follow moving east and west. So following off of cyberpunk, although of course that's me being a bit arbitrary because all of this happens everywhere. We all experience this cultural stuff, but like synthwave music that has picked up recently in the last 10 or so years draws a lot of aesthetic inspiration from, you know, like the film score for Blade Runner and things like that.
Right.
It's music that's current, modern day, made to sound like 80s music. But it doesn't often sound like the music that you heard on the radio in the 80s. It sounds like movie music. It sounds like soundtrack music. I don't know the significance of that, but it feels significant to me, right? Because we are in kind of sort of the future that we, you know, these technologies that were nascent in the 80s have matured.
Right.
Sometimes in ways that we dreamed of or were afraid of. And so now there's a whole genre and micro genres and subgenres of music that are kind of emulating the soundtracks of futuristic 1980s movies, but positioned as, you know, soundtracks to modern day existence, right? There's no movie that they go to, but they sound like Giorgio Moroder scores. So I don't know if we want to pause. Do you know this stuff? Do we?
No, I don't.
I'll hit pause and I'll link some things in the show notes as we talk about music moving forward, and I'll give you some examples. Okay. Cindy had to step out and prep a program, but Olga and I are still here to discuss. I just played her a snippet of the intro of the tune Redline by Lazerhawk.
Wow.
What do you think?
Very fast pace and anxiety. I like my thriller books like that. I'm not sure I like my music this way.
But it's
Gives
very
me a heartbeat.
it's cinematic kind of synthesizer music.
Absolutely.
Very much takes after like John Carpenter movie scores, Giorgio Moroder scores. But it's kind of the past reconstructed via the present. So I wanted to go from there back to the former Soviet Union to talk a little bit about the band Kino. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll let you talk about Kino, and then I'll introduce one.
Kino means cinema. And so the name of the musical band is a different art entirely, called Cinema, was one of the end of 80s, mid 80s rock bands in the Soviet Union. They had to jump through incredible hoops to be able to perform their music in Leningrad. It was a social phenomena called rock club in the city that was then known as Leningrad, now known as St. Petersburg, which was the original name the city had when it was built in the 17th century.
They're a great band. I stumbled into them like maybe 10 years ago, and started listening to them, and then hopped on to other bands that sound like them, and found a lot of recent bands. So there's a band, and I'll link examples all in the show notes so folks can listen. But there's one band in particular called Molchat Doma from...
Which means be silent at home.
Be silent at home. Did I pronounce that one right?
Molchat Doma.
Okay. They're and these are guys who I think they were born in the 90s, right? And they're making music that sounds a lot like Kino. It sounds a lot like bands of that time, right down to how they're recording things. So it sounds like a tape recording, a lot of their stuff. It's very reverby, and it harkens back to that sound. They use a lot of imagery of, architecture and things like that. But of course, it means something different in today, based on, how society has changed and how society hasn't. Same as like with the synthwave stuff, which they're kind of a subset of, but of a specific type. So from there, I wanted to talk about a couple of the folks that the term hauntology in music is specifically applied to. And it's a couple of UK artists. And this is where I'm going to try to demonstrate that this all makes sense somehow. So...
I'm sure the listeners are looking forward to that.
I'll link this all. I'll link it all so you can listen. So there is a UK dubstep producer who goes by the name Burial. His name is William Emmanuel Bevan. He was anonymous intentionally for a long time. And when I say dubstep, this is very, very different from that like wub bro step stuff that had a moment a decade and a half ago. It's much subtler. He broke through in the mid 2000s, which is a weird time for me to talk about in the context of history, but here we are, right? Time keeps moving. This is historical now. He uses samples of vinyl record crackle, mechanisms clicking and clacking, rainfall, bits of old music, all drenched in reverb. And he uses a deep, deep sub bass that sounds like a subway train coming. So you really need to listen with headphones or a subwoofer to get half of what's going on. It's very haunty, and I think a lot of our listeners would like him. I'll play a little bit for Olga here. What do you think?
Incredible. It is truly haunted, and these sounds absolutely create a sense of place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's weirdly soothing in a way, but pensive, and
I think to me, soothing and pensive could be a perfect definition of what haunted and haunting means.
Mm-hmm.
But this is coming from somebody who really loves haunting and gothic
mm-hmm.
in literature, in music, even in dress style sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never heard anybody like Burial doing what he's doing. He doesn't use a digital audio workstation. He doesn't use a music program to do it. He just uses a general audio editing thing, and he does it by sight. He takes little snippets and spaces them out, copy, paste.
Fantastic.
It's very weird. So there's one more guy that I'll close this part of our discussion on, who goes by the name the Caretaker. I'm not going to play all of this.
Please don't. Please don't.
This guy, his name is James Leland Kirby. He's another UK artist, and he's best known for his late 2010s 6-album-long project titled Everywhere at the End of Time. This monumental musical work employs old records, recontextualized, filtered, chopped up, and edited so as to represent the emotional experience of all the stages of dementia, with the familiar compositions introduced at the beginning gradually becoming more and more distant, lost, and distorted over the course of 6.5 hours. I think I sent this to you before.
And I have listened. By all means, I did not listen to the entire 6 hours, but I went forward in time, and I have experienced shock and anger and rage at how cruel time can be, breaking down those familiar bits and pieces of music that the piece starts from, and getting it into something entirely unrecognizable. I think that could be a place to potentially become very angry why anybody has to go through that as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And what sort of future that human being planned for had never happened. And this is what happened instead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's horrifying. I think I listened to, I mean, it's a great work, but I think I sat while I was working and listened to 51 minutes of it at my desk. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to stick it out to the end of this. But it's
I could.
Yeah.
I can see being able to, but I can also see feeling all the feels, as they say nowadays.
Yeah, and I think I might pick it back up and do it in bits and pieces, because I mean, you know, it's worth experiencing everything that a work of art can communicate to you, but it's harrowing in its quiet way. And especially if, you look it up online and you find comments, because they're going to be filled with people who are sharing their personal recollections of people that they've known and cared for who have suffered from memory loss. And that is a lot too. So here, we come around to that project is related to the ways that, you lose contact with the past and the present over the course of that experience. But I also discovered something else that I did not know, not having seen Backrooms, the new movie. There's a track by the Caretaker in the new Backrooms movie.
Oh.
And some people made mention of that in the comments. So it all ties back. Liminality, hauntology, music, cinema, aesthetics. Kane Parsons is the Backrooms guy, and all of this that I've been rolling around in my head for the past few weeks, when I heard that, I was like, all right, I feel like this, I feel vindicated, because if Kane Parsons feels like this fits, I trust him.
Definitely.
So that's the end of my script.
For me, liminality. For me, liminality always had a flavor of something sacred, and liminal spaces. What you talked about initiations in the previous part of the podcast. You did not speak about it specifically, but the place where you die as one being and emerge as the other is a place where you enter a sacred space, and you could potentially meet sacred beings, and whatever those sacred beings are. I am interested. I'm interested now in what sort of sacred beings we could meet in the back rooms, and what sort of present there is, and and from what past into what future we are coming into, and will that future actually ever materialize?
Yeah. What's on the other side of the door?
What is on the other side of the door? And who do you meet? Who do you meet other than your own self in those threshold liminal space? You obviously meet yourself. You cannot escape that part. That is human condition.
All right. I think I'm going to leave it on that.
I think that's a good place to leave it.
Thank you, Olga.
My pleasure. Thank you for allowing me to be here. And thank you for Toledo Public Library for having me, hosting me, and letting me volunteer.
Yeah. And come to our first Story Trackers Story Den, recommended for ages 16 to 122. And,
for kids from 1 to 92?
Yeah.
For 16 to 122? Yes, because if there is a story that lives rent-free in your mind and you want to talk about it with people who love nothing more than to talk about stories, then Story Trackers Toledo Den is going to be the right place for you. And we are looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah. All right. June 27th, 2 p.m., right here at the Toledo Public Library.
We'll see you there.
See ya. The Free Bin is a production of the Toledo Public Library, which is part of the Lincoln County Library District in beautiful Lincoln County, Oregon. Writing by Harrison Baker and Cindy Balek. Original music and editing by Harrison Baker. The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect those of any organization they represent. Good night.